Clio here, and it's time for a new reading vlog. So third time is a charm. I've tried to film this clip already 2 times, but I just keep on rambling and it becomes like a super long clip. So let's just try to avoid it this time. So I will dive into this reading vlog by talking about a book that I've just hauled. So I am a little bit on a book buying ban, but this is actually a book that I pre-ordered like a month and a half ago. It was supposed to come out the 31st of July and it just kept on postponing and postponing, but I know that service. I have horrible experiences with it. I usually never pre-order from them because I know that they're horrible with pre-orders. But you know, this book I wasn't expecting to find in a bookstore, but for future's sake I know I just need to pre-order from Book Depository. So the book that I'm talking about is Disability Visibility, which is a essay collection which is edited by Alice Wong. This is a collection of people who have disabilities talking about their experiences with their disability, with accessibility and stuff like that. It's people who have all different types of disabilities. So we're looking at people with physical disabilities, with cognitive disabilities, for example. We're looking at people who have a immediately visible disability, or people from whom like you wouldn't immediately think that they have, you wouldn't immediately recognize that they have a disability. And we're looking at people from all like slices of life, different genders, different races, and their different experiences. I'm very much looking forward to this. I have a video from like half a year ago or something in which I talk about how I want to dive more into disability representation, having a disability myself, and so this is one that I absolutely wanted to dive into, and so yeah, I can finally get around to it. We'll probably like read an essay a night or something like that. That has worked very well for me in like the past, I will say, but I only really started exploring essay collections 2 months ago or something, when I read Trick Mirror, which I found a very enjoyable experience, as a very nice way of ending your evening with an essay to read. So yeah, that'll be my plan with this book. My plan for this week is I have nothing to do, and that's even less than I usually have to do. Usually at least I go to like my parents on Sunday for lunch, but I told them that I wanted like a full weekend just to myself, to enjoy a little bit of the quiet of Sunday, the one day in which the construction crew is not working, and so that'll be a very quiet Sunday. It's also turning out to be perfect because Becca, who is hosting Becca's Bookoplathon this month, she has announced that on Sunday she will be doing a lot of reading sprints, an entire day long of reading sprints, and it's apparently going to be somewhat interactive as well, because she's kind of indicated that we're going to need to have 2 books on hand, and that we'll have to be switching around between the 2 quite regularly. So interested to see how that will turn out. But so my goals for this week are actually to finish 3 books, hopefully actually already by the end of Sunday, and then just diving into new books as the new week starts. But so what I definitely want to finish is Gods of Jade and Shadow by Silvia Moreno-García, which is the most recent book that I started. I want to finish The Gospel of Loki by Joanne because that was my second roll for Becca's Bookoplathon, and I definitely want to roll again. And then my third book is either going to be You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah or Mordew by Alex Phoebe, which has been on my currently reading for too long. But yeah, we'll see how my reading week evolves, but that is definitely what my plans are for now. So working day is over and I can dive into the books again. So I just went to the center and I got myself a nice smoothie. Banana and pineapple smoothie, the best smoothie in the world. And I also got myself some snacks, including something that I'm absolutely addicted to, which is Asian mix. I don't know whether you have these types of rice crackers, but they are so addictive, and I'm diving in, and probably that bag will be done tomorrow. But so yeah, I'm going to be diving into Gods of Jade and Shadow now. So just a quick recap for those of you who don't follow me regularly. But so Gods of Jade and Shadow is a book by Silvia Moreno-García. It is a Mayan inspired fantasy story. It's fantasy because it is a myth retelling. I am not familiar with Mayan mythology, so I cannot really tell you what myth it is retelling, but so it's basically about this young girl who she is kind of in servitude to her grandfather. She's taking care of him, more or less being treated as sort of like house slave. And one day she gets quite upset with him because all of her life she's been expecting that at the end of all of this, when he passes away, he will pass some of his money down to her because he's quite wealthy. However, her nephew tells her that she isn't included in his will. So in a fit of rage, she opens one of her grandfather's like secret possessions, a sort of chest that for which he keeps the key on him at all times, except if he needs to go like to a wellness resort or to church. And so she opens the box and inside are a couple of bones, but when she touches them, the bones come alive and the Mayan god of death is awakened. So as I said, I don't have too much background on the exact myth, and maybe I will try to look into it a little bit more once I finish the book. I like to go into it now, not having any of that background, and seeing what I think about it. I am like a little over a quarter of the way in this book at the moment. So far I haven't really felt the hook yet, though I do have quite a lot of quotes that I already like marked or that I highlighted, and quite some interesting passages about, you know, the way in which she sees herself and things like that, that I've decided to highlight for myself. There's definitely quite some interesting stuff there already, but you know, I haven't felt that hook, that drive through the story yet. So I'm hoping that if I get just a little bit further, I'll get to that point where, you know, you cannot stop anymore, you have to keep on going until you reach the end. So I went for a walk today, you will have seen footage of that, and I listened to You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah in the meantime, which is once again proving that while I'm having huge difficulties liking YA fantasy past couple of years, I should be trying a lot more YA contemporary, because apparently YA contemporary is a genre that I do actually like, is a combination that works very well for me. Just because I feel like a lot of YA contemporary nowadays is diving into just a little bit more of stuff that I find intriguing, stuff that works better for me. So as I said, I think I said it in a previous vlog as well, as I just like this combination of like talking about, for example, racism or like queer identities and stuff like that, and that just really intrigues me, and that I've been really enjoying that in my YA contemporaries. And so You Should See Me in a Crown is the same case. So You Should See Me in a Crown is a story about this young black girl who she wants to go off to a certain college, but she doesn't have the financial aid. And so she and her friends come up with this scheme where she's going to try and become prom queen, because her town is like obsessed with prom, and so the prom queen and prom king, they earn scholarships, and so that's what her goal is. However, there's also a new girl in town who's also vying for prom queen, and they fall in love. Now, I love the fact that it's talking about queer identities, but what I actually love the most is that it's doing things that I wasn't expecting it to do. You know, I had this sort of very stereotypical idea about how that story was going to fit, and it really went in a different direction than what I was expecting it to do, which I absolutely love it doing. I also like that it's talking about friendships quite a bit, so we have this quite strong friendship group at the beginning of the book, and we will see some developments within that friendship group that kind of stir things up, but there's also this sort of estranged relationship with a past friend that kind of fell through the moment that they went to high school, and we're going to see that kind of rekindle itself, and so it's very much going to look at like the hurt that is involved with like the hurt that can be involved in friendships where people feel betrayed by others, or feel like they've been or feel like they've been abandoned by some of their friends. And then you know, I really like that being discussed in especially in YA, because I definitely think it fits that age group. I also very much like the queer romance. This really is a beautiful relationship that's worked out, and it's worked out in a really very nice way. Also, this book is a little bit different than some of the other books that I've read in which we have queer relationships, because these girls already know that they are attracted to girls. We're not having this sort of exploration of what it means to be lesbian. One of them isn't like openly out. She is out to her friends, she is out to her family, so it isn't like she's still exploring that identity, and so I really like that sort of look as well within a YA contemporary. So I've been really enjoying it so far. I think I have about an hour and a half left in the audiobook, so I'll probably be able to finish it tonight, but maybe I'll finish it tomorrow, I don't know. But now in like a quarter of an hour or something like that, there's another reading sprint happening for Becca's Bookoplathon, and so I will be picking up my Becca's Bookoplathon book, which is the Gospel of Loki. So in last week's vlog I started out by reading it. I mean, I did a sort of try a chapter tag, trying to decide which book I was going to pick up. If you can see the tab from this distance, I don't know, but I was like 7 pages in or something, and I'm going to be using that hour to read in this one, see how far I can get, and then switch back to my other book or to the audiobook. Hey guys, it is Sunday morning. It is about 11 o'clock in the morning now. I just wanted to quickly update you guys on where I am with my reading plans. So, as you know, my goal for this weekend is finishing 3 books. I'm starting to think that I should make that 2 books, but we'll see. I won't give up on myself just yet. But so, I am about 73% or something of the way in Gods of Jade and Shadow, so foresee no difficulties with finishing that one today. I am an hour and a half away from finishing You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson, and then I am only 30 pages into The Gospel of Loki by Joanne M. Harris. So that's the one that I'm like starting to realize probably won't be finishing today. Possible, but it took me like an hour to read 30 pages in it, so I think I have about 9 hours left of reading in that one, which I don't think is feasible. So unless my reading pace were to pick up for that one, I don't think I'll be finishing it today. But so in about a quarter of an hour, Becca will start with the sprints for today. So I'm very happy with the concept. So basically she's going to roll 2 dice, and every dot will represent 10 minutes in a reading sprint. So the maximum would be like if she rolls a 12, then we would have to have a 2-hour-long reading sprint, but I'm guessing the odds are quite slim for that. But so in any case, it'll be interesting to use that method. Also, she's adding a second rule to it, so if she rolls double, we have to switch books. So very much looking forward to it. These sprints are going to be taking like 12 hours in total, though there will be a break when it's like dinner time in the UK. I'm not entirely sure whether I'm going to do the full 12 hours, because that would mean I have to go until 1 o'clock at night in my time zone, and it is a Sunday. I need to go to work tomorrow morning, and I also need to go to work physically, so yeah, I have less of a leeway with at what time I'm going to be waking up. So I don't know yet what it'll do. It'll depend, I guess, whether I'm like on a huge roll, if I'm like close to finishing the book, maybe. Alright guys, two things happened. So I finished the first sprint. First sprint was an hour long, so 60 minutes. And in that time I finished Gods of Jade and Shadow. I'm going to sit on my thoughts for Gods of Jade and Shadow a little bit longer. I really love this world, really loved getting immersed in this new type of mythology. In any case, I liked the story a lot. I liked the way in which the plot developed, because it really wasn't in any way like predictable. It really stayed clear of a lot of things that you expected to do, and that I always love. I always love being surprised by a book, and this one definitely managed to do it. However, I also didn't have a sort of like blown away experience with this neither. So at this point it would sit at like a 4.5 star to me, because there's, objectively speaking, nothing that I would be taking away from this book. But I do also not have that sort of, whoa, this was an amazing read experience feeling about it. So I'm going to be starting a reading journal. This is going to be my first entry into it, and I'm going to try and kind of come to grasp with what I'm feeling about this book through that process. But Becca has also just rolled the second time for what will be our next reading sprint, which starts in 2 minutes. For this reading sprint we are going to be reading for 100 minutes, and because she rolled a double we need to switch books, which isn't a big problem considering I just finished one. But so I think for 100 minutes, so that is that's too long for me to switch to You Should See Me in a Crown, because I only have 90 minutes left of that one. So I'm going to be reading the Gospel of Loki for the next 100 minutes. Alright, so I said I wasn't going to update you after every sprint, but that's in the end what I am doing. But so I just finished the 100-page sprint for the Gospel of Loki. I managed to finish 75 pages in that 100 minutes, so I am quite happy with that progress. The next sprint is going to be 60 minutes. We cannot switch books, so I am now a third of the way in this book, and I am very much liking it. It's got this very cool vibe to it, so it's told from the perspective of Loki. And we get all this like foreshadowing where Loki drops these hints that some of these things are going to be coming back later in the story, which I always like in my stories. And apart from that, Loki's just a very fun character to read from, but also we're getting this sort of like mixture of the Norse mythology, this world of ancient gods and things like that, mixed in with some more like modern language such as like chillax or things like that are being used within the story, which I'm actually really liking. You know, I wouldn't like it as much if it happened all the time, but it's really like occasionally throughout the story that these things will be happening, which just kind of brings a grin to your face. So I'm happy because Becca just rolled, and it's a double, so I can switch books. So we are reading for 80 minutes, starting in like 6 minutes or something, which is perfect timing because it's like, at this point it's more or less 5:30, meaning that if I start preparing dinner, I can actually eat at a decent hour. I am tempted to get a pizza, but I had a pizza last week, I think, and so, yeah, I guess I'll be smart about my money and health habits, I guess, and just prepare dinner. In any case, I'm going to be preparing chili sin carne, so it's also going to be very nice. So let me just be responsible here and actually just prepare food. It's in any case low on the preparation, it just needs a whole lot of oven time. But so yeah, that's what I'll be doing with my audiobook now. So yeah, I'm close to the halfway mark in Gospel of Loki. I'm really enjoying it so far. I had a great scene just now where like Thor's hammer was stolen, and so Loki came up with the idea of disguising Thor as a woman, and that way being able to steal back the hammer. Very funny scene. But so yeah, I'll be happy to dive back into that one at a later point today, but for now let me just finish up You Should See Me in a Crown and make my dinner. Alright, so I'm going to assume that I'm in focus, but we are now past 7 o'clock, so Becca is taking a break right now. I think it's going to be about 2 hours. She needed to have dinner and she's going to watch 2 episodes of Heroes, so it's definitely at least 2 hours, which is actually perfect because my dinner is in the oven at the moment, and I've been craving not just Mexican food because I'm making chili sin carne, but I've also been craving watching The Road to El Dorado. So I've been craving this ever since I started this book, both the Mexican food and The Road to El Dorado. So I'm going to be watching it. All of those Xibalba references throughout the book just really always brought me back to this one moment in the movie, which is to Xibalba. We'll see if I can film it when it's on later.
The gods have chosen to Xibalba.
But so I finished You Should See Me in Crown by Leah Johnson. I really loved it. Also 4.5 stars for me, so I really loved it. It's not like a spectacular read or something like that. It's not necessarily a book that's going to stick with me very long, but it did everything right in my opinion. And what I especially want to highlight in it is its disability representation. So there's disability representation in her family because her mother has died of sickle cell disease, her brother has sickle cell disease, I think her grandparents also have sickle cell disease, but in any case it's mainly focused on her brother. And it's done quite casually throughout the book, which is very nice. You know, it's not a huge plot point, it is used plot-wise at some point throughout the books, and it's part of her reasoning behind wanting to become a doctor because she wants to help people with sickle cell disease. But I really liked this representation and the casualness in which it was represented and how well it was dealt with. Also the representation of like people who have disabilities. I, for example, also do have a disability. I don't need to take regular medication, but this person has to take regular medication, and it looks very much into the fact that when things are better, when you are in your better periods, how you can look over taking that medication even though it's at the base of you having a better period. And I definitely have experience with that, even though I don't need to take medication. But for example, I've recently started cutting out sugar and I've really noticed a huge improvement in the last few weeks. However, this week we're going into like, I don't know, week 4 or so of me not feeling constant pain, and I've started to notice that I'm like less vigilant about reducing my sugar, and I've also had a few more pain days as a result. So I really like that way of that's relatability to its disability representation. Obviously, as with all types of representation, it's never a one-fits-all, but it's definitely a situation that I recognize. So from my experience, I would say that this representation was handled very well. And as I've said before, I really love the relationship that we are getting in this one, and the talk about friendship and the way that that turned out in the end as well. So very much loved that one, and even though I wasn't expecting it, this is another case of a YA contemporary really working for me. So it is Tuesday evening at the moment, and I have finished The Gospel of Loki yesterday evening, but like really it will like a battle of wills between me and sleep at that point. But yeah, I managed to do it. So as you can probably tell, I heavily tapped this one and I really enjoyed this one. So we are following an anti-hero, always fun. We're following a morally great character who makes decisions that aren't the wisest from time to time, who makes decisions that definitely aren't good decisions all the time, and he definitely is looking out for his own interest most of the time throughout this book. I like how we're very much looking at sort of like way in which Loki feels like an outcast throughout a lot of the book, and while definitely in the beginning of this book it is definitely the case that he isn't really welcomed, or that he is definitely treated differently than the real gods that are there. And that kind of sets the tone for him starting to feel like that. Definitely some of his later choices also kind of steer him in that role. And once the ball gets rolling, he just goes in further and further. I also like how it's talking about prophecy, as there's a prophecy about Ragnarok, about the end of times, that has been made to Odin. And this prophecy will play a huge role throughout this book. And it's very much going to be looking at this sort of like classic elements to stories about prophecy, about how prophecy telling actually impacts the future, how knowing a prophecy makes what is described in the prophecy come true, but also how you interpret a prophecy based on your own thought, and so how you might be misinterpreting prophecy and things like that. So I really enjoyed this one. It had some very fun things in it. It has a very comic style of writing. There's a very nice voice to the narrator in this one, and there's also a very nice mix of like these old tales with sometimes a very like modern approach to the writing styles. But so yeah, I really enjoyed this one. Definitely looking forward to also picking up the sequel to this one. But so yeah, that means that I can finally roll again. Alright, here we go. So last time I ended up on community shelf and I picked 24-hour readathon. So let me see what I get now. And this one of course is just out of frame. So I got a 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I have a friend as well, and that is standalone. So I could use my current reads for this one. And let me think, could I also use one of the other ones? Definitely. So strategic thinking going on right now, wondering whether I should use one of my previous reads or whether I should use my current read for this one. So I think I'm going to use this one to reclaim Gods of Jade and Shadow for Becca's Bookoplathon. And cats, can you move out of the way? Which means I'm going to do another roll. Come on, face. Cats. They're very interested to see what I'm actually doing here. Fate. And now Buffy. Alright. Yep. Shouldn't have done that. Double. So, I have 12. I don't know whether you see that second one here. 12. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 friend pick. So I'm going to reclaim You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson for this one, because I read that for a group chat that I'm part of. And then the second one, 3, 1, 2, 3. Most recent purchase. Alright, yeah, that's great. So that's the book that I started this vlog with. So Disability Visibility by Alice Wong. Alright, so it is Wednesday evening. I think I'm going to just end the vlog here and not talk about more books because I think this was already long enough. But I will end with a very short haul. I just came back from the post office. I had to pick up 2 packages. And I will be honest, I don't know what the second package is, so that might be interesting. So the first one, I'm pretty sure I know which one it is. So first package is basically a tea box. So this is a selection box of Ortiz. So I very much like Ortiz. They have very beautiful, you know, artwork on their teas. And this is basically a rainbow package that has like 25 or 20 I think flavors on it, and so all of these sachets have like beautiful art on it. I know that some people think them to be a little bit too bland, but I actually really like them. But I'm also somebody who usually just leaves my tea bag in indefinitely, and so I want to try some more of their teas before I kind of settle on which one I want in a big box. The reason why I wanted to try out more teas is because I very much like black teas, but I want a tea for like the evenings, because yeah, in the evenings I cannot really have black tea, you know, because that's a little bit too, it has too much caffeine in it. But I also see that they gave me some extras, so struggling. So I have just like an ingredient that, like a recipe that you can make with one of their teas. And I think that's actually, yeah, so this is a recipe you can make with one of their teas, and I also got an extra bag of that tea in order to make it. And I also got a sample for another one. So a sample for, what is this? Is this also a tea? No, it's an herb mix. It's an herb mix to make risotto. So interesting. I will definitely be trying that one out. I actually got 2 of these rainbow boxes because I'm gonna give one of them away as a gift pretty damn soon. Oh, this is actually a perfect distance to sit. And then we have package number 2. So package number 2, I have 2 ideas about what this could be, but this one of these is very unlikely. I mean, I would be shocked because I have a pre-order that is getting published tomorrow, I think, and I think it shipped yesterday. So that would be way too soon for it to arrive here because it comes from Book Depository, and for me that means it's coming from the UK, and normally that is like a 4-day shipping time. But I also subscribe to a book subscription box. I know what it is now.